Today, we're going to talk about absolute value. But before we do that, let's review what we learned previously about integers and graphing. The entrance of a cave is at an elevation of 14 meters. The lowest part of the cave is at an elevation of negative 86 meters. Generate an integer to represent the elevation of the entrance to the cave. So they want us to generate an integer for the entrance of the cave. What is the definition of an integer? A whole number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, and the counting numbers. And its opposites. So like 1, the opposite is negative 1. It's on the other side of the number line. 7, negative 7. So it's positive 0 and positive whole numbers and negative whole numbers. So we need to generate a negative whole number 0 and positive whole numbers about the entrance. The entrance of a cave is at an elevation of 14 meters. So it's positive 14 or 14. Yeah, because negative 86, that is a junk information. That's the lowest part of the cave. So, because they wanted you to generate an integer for the entrance to the cave. Positive 14 meters or 14 meters. If you watch this video is about a movie called Ferris Bueller. And Ferris Bueller is a rebellious high school student who likes skipping school. So he recruited his friend to steal or to use his friend's father's car. However, his friend was adamant, said, "No, you cannot use it because my father records the mileage from the odometer." However, Ferris convinced him, saying, "Well, you know what? If you drive backward, the miles will come off." Do you believe that? If you drive in reverse, will the odometer or mileage year go backward? So I'm in the car, I'm driving. I drive like 10 miles to the store. And then I put the car in reverse, I drive backward. So will it go back to the starting? Yes or no? So please explain. And can distance be negative? The answer is no and no. Distance cannot be negative. Every time you're moving somewhere, how far you're taking steps, distance is always positive. You're moving from one place to the next place. Just like in a car. If you drive backward in reverse, the mileage will keep going up. So if you click on this YouTube site, they actually show the solution of it and how his friend almost had a heart attack. So he got very angry at Ferris Bueller for lying to him. So the opposite of a number is just the number on the opposite side of 0 on the number line. For example, find the opposite of 5. This is 5 spaces away from 0, 5 units from 0. On the other side of the number line, what is 5 units from 0? Negative 5. That is the opposite. So we have positive 5. The opposite is negative 5. Find the opposite of negative 3. This is 3 units to the left of 0. So what is the opposite? What is 3 units to the right of 0? Positive 3. Find the opposite of 0. 0 is at 0. It's not left or right, it's at 0. So the opposite of 0 is 0. So let's do a little harder. These are integers, negative whole numbers, 0, positive whole number. Let's include a decimal or fraction, a rational number. What if you say 3.5 or 3.5? This is 3.5 to the right of 0. So, what is the opposite of 3 and 5/10 or 3.5? What is, if it's 3.5 to the right of 0, 3.5 to the left of 0, it would be the opposite. Rational number is negative 3 and 5/10 or negative 3.5. So that's opposite. Another word we're going to learn today is absolute value. Absolute value is how far a number is from 0 on the number line. It is noted with absolute value bars such as these. These are absolute value bars. On the back of this page, find the absolute value. So it's how far is the distance from 0. Can distance, that's why we're talking about the Ferris Bueller, can distance be negative? No, distance is always positive. So on the back of it, find the absolute value of, let's do the first one. So here is our number line, absolute value of 7. Here is 7. How many units away is absolute 7 from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The distance is 7. 7 units from 0, or positive 7. Next one. Absolute value of negative 8, which is right here. How many units is this from 0? How far is it from 0? 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit, 5, 6, 7, 8. Absolute value of negative 8 is 8. How far? The distance. Next one, 2.5. Absolute value 2.5. That would be right here. How far is that from 0? Half. 1, 2. It is 2.5 units from 0. Next one. Negative 3.5. Here is negative 3.5 right here. How far is this from 0? It is 3.5 units from 0. Count if you don't believe me. Next one. Again, have you noticed a pattern yet? Every time the answer is positive. Next question. 9/4 and 6 minus 8. Let me write this down. Technical difficult. Oh. This is 9/4, and this is 6 minus 8. All right, so 9/4. Where would I find this? This is an improper fraction. You should have learned this last year. Is there another way to rewrite this improper fraction as a mixed number, whole number mixed with a fraction? How many 4s can go into 9? How many 4s can 9? 2, and you have 1 left over, 2 and 1/4. 2 and 1/4 is the same as absolute value of 9/4. So it'll be right here. What is the distance of this from 0? 2 and 1/4. And last but not least, we're going to do an advanced question. We have not learned how to subtract with negative numbers, but we can use our number line to help us with this one. In this question, 6, you take away 8. So we start at 0. You go to 6, and then you go back 8. So where are we now? We are at negative 2. What is the distance of this from 0? How many units is that from 0? How far is it from 0? 2 units. So 6 minus 8 is absolute value of negative 2, or 2. All right, so let's back to it. So all these mean the exact same thing. What is absolute value of 8? Or what is the distance of 8 from 0? It is 8. However, let's take it a little step farther, a little harder. We have, this time, if you notice, the negative is on the outside of the absolute value bar. So, if I draw a number line, 0, here's 5, here's -5. Absolute value bar of 5. How far is 5 from 0? 5. But then you have a negative. This negative denotes the opposite of. So, this is the opposite of. So what is the opposite of the absolute value of 5? What's the opposite of 5? So, it is -5. Let's look at this one. We have -4. So let's do the absolute value bar first. What is the absolute value of -4? How far is -4 from 0? It is 4 units from 0. But what's the opposite of 4? -4. Get this. You have 4. It's 4 units to the right of 0. On the other side, 4 units to the left of 0. Opposite. Alright, so let's look inside absolute value bar. What's 3 plus 4? You're 3 units to the right, you go 4 more, you're 7 units from 0. How far are you from 0? 7 units. Negative. What's the opposite of 7 units to the right of 0? 7 units to the left of 0, -7. And last but not least, what's the absolute value of -8? How far is -8 from 0? 8 units. What's the opposite of 8 units? -8. Or sorry, what's the, yeah. Yeah, wait, that is correct, -8. Because again, how far is -8 from 0? 8 units. And what's the opposite of 8? -8. And our last thing we're talking about is, given 2 integers, how do you know which integer is greater? If I give you 6 and 4, which integer is greater, 6 or 4? I say 6 is greater because you have 6 pieces. Your fingers, 6 fingers, and everyone has 4. But using a number line, how do you know 6 is more than 4? How do you know it's greater? One way you could say it is farther from 0. But what about -4 and -6? Which one is greater, -4 or -6? If I keep on doing that same explanation, you said if it's farther from 0, it's greater. -6 is farther than 0, so that means is -6 greater than -4? That means if I, yeah, so -6, -4. No, it's not. So in this one, what we know is using a number line, this is how I explain very quickly. A number line goes from least to greatest. That's why I like noting it with L to G. So it goes from least to greatest. The greatest numbers are on to the right. The least numbers are to the left. That's why you have positive whole numbers on the right, negative whole numbers on the left. So that's why 3 is greater than 0. It is to the right. -1 is greater than -5. For example, if someone lost $1 or lost $5, who's greater? Who has more money? Well, they both are negative, but -1, I mean you owe $1, is in a better situation than someone who owes $5. Or someone dove down 1 feet, someone dove down 5 feet. Who is closer to the surface? The person who dove 1 feet. So, again, so you have less than and greater than. So, this is less than and greater than sign. For example, if I had 2 integers like 6 and 2, is this correct? Is 6 less than 2? Some of you may have learned this with the alligator, but these are called inequalities. In 6th grade, we will be learning this soon. Actually, we'll be learning it in mid-year. Is 2 greater than 6 or 6 less than 2? No. So this inequality is wrong, so it should be going this way. 6 is greater than 2. What about this one? -3 is greater than -9. Let's look at our number line. Is -3 greater than -9? It is. It is to the right. It is greater than. So -3 is greater than -9. If I give you 4 integers like -9, 12/4, I gave you -2, and I gave you the integer 0, and I asked you to put them from least to greatest, how would you write this? Let's look at your number line. You know a number line goes from least to greatest, so -9 is the farthest from the surface, is deep end is negative. It's to the far left, far left. And then the next one will be -2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then, wait, did I skip one? Oh, sorry, let's do it again. -9, -2, you have 0, and then 12 divided by 4, which is 3. So use your number line to go from least to greatest. And there's one more topic I would like to talk about. As soon as it works. While I was working, if I give you an absolute value of any number equals 3, what absolute value of any number will equal 3? So, can you think of it? Name a number, absolute value of that any number will equal a distance of 3. It will be -3 or 3. You might say, but why? I don't get it. Why is it -3, 3? Is -3 3 units from 0? Yes. Is 3 3 units from 0? So there are two answers. Absolute value of -3 and absolute value of 3 is going to both of them will equal 3. So this is the study of absolute value. Absolute value is the distance or how far a number is from 0. Opposite is the same opposite is the same distance from 0 to. On the right side or the left side, positive, negative. For example, 15 is 15 to the right of 0. So on the other side, on the opposite side, what would it be? -15.